Welcome to this talk, Lift Us Up Where We Belong, about training animals to participate in education settings and what we do in Copenhagen Zoo to improve the animals' welfare. The education section in Copenhagen Zoo is quite big. We are 2 keepers. We have 10 educators and 35 zoo guides, about 80,000 visitors coming through this section a year, and it's everything from kindergartens, schools, adults, team building, and so on. We keep reptiles and some mice and tenrecs and guinea pigs and a lot of insects. I want to talk about animal welfare and how to improve it when handling animals, because we do use the animals a lot in this section, and before we would just do whatever we wanted to do, and now we want to ask the animals, so we actually give them a choice. Before, basically we would grab and lift up the animals when we needed to show them to the children. In general, the welfare living in this section probably wasn't as good as today, because we didn't see as much varied behavior. We saw a lot of stress signs, and we decided to do something different. So now we ask the animals and then we handle them if they agree to participate. And first we started with improving the animal welfare at the guinea pigs, because we saw a lot of stress signs with the guinea pigs. As an animal caretaker, when we came in the morning and wanted to feed the guinea pigs, they didn't even want to come out of their houses because they were scared of us. Also, they were scared when we used them in the classroom. So this was our first project to improve the guinea pig welfare. First, I need to thank a guy called Will Bruno. I never met him, but at an ABMA conference, he showed a video about a rabbit who was also an education animal, and it showed a lot of stress signs, and he basically just showed how they started training the rabbit and how it completely changed the behavior and had a better welfare, and was actually a really nice animal after that for education purposes. So that made us brainstorm about the guinea pigs, like maybe if they could be petted in a box and the animals could be just seen in the enclosure, but it wasn't really enough hands-on for our educators. And also we tried to teach the animals to jump onto the hand, but it wasn't really safe for the guinea pig, the whole like being lifted from the enclosure and to the children. So then we thought about a hammock, and then while we were trying to develop this, we had the educators and us caretakers to bond with the guinea pigs, so simply just spend like a minute or two every time we had time to just give them a bit of lettuce and talk to them. So just basically a bonding process with the guinea pigs to get them less stressed and more safe around us. For making all these changes within how to handle the animals, it was really important for us to have a nice communication. So we had a talk to the leader of the education section on what to do if the animals didn't work in the class, what if it took the educators longer time to use the animals like this. And also she was wondering how much time it would take to learn the educators all this. And mainly she was interested in if it took focus, because often the classes aren't about how to train animals, they're about something different, but we just train the animals while teaching them something different. So it would have to fit into the goals. Also, the leader of the animal caretakers, my leader, would be interested in knowing how much time I would need to do this, and if it was the right thing to prioritize at the point. And also if it would fit into the zoo's goals, and did it really improve welfare? Like, did we have the evidence? And the children, of course, would be like, can we hold it? So all of these different interests, we really needed to make sure that everybody was happy in this before starting the whole changing. So we still use the guinea pigs for the same classes that we used to, and we have a class about pet animals and their needs, where we compare humans and different animals' needs, and then we talk about animal welfare in pet animals and how to treat your pet. And we also have a class about senses and signals and how prey animals use their senses, and the guinea pigs are also used for audio communication. And here the kids get to sit with a guinea pig and pet it while it gets some lettuce. And I have a video I'll show you of how it's done. sidder du bare fuldstændig klar der, kan jeg se. Så må du gerne af med svin. Det er bedst, at vi kan opdage det. Ja, det er. Den har det stadigvæk. So as you just saw in the classroom, the educators can actually do this by themselves. Every animal talks to 13 or 14 children, and they all give them treats. And then for audio communication, the animals are trained to call in the enclosure, and they also get treats for this, of course. And the take-home message for the children now with this new system is a lot nicer, because we can actually honestly say that the animals are happy to be petted. And that they enjoy the time, because we can actually see they sit relaxed in the laps and eat salad, whereas before they would act a lot more stressed and they would be sort of grabbed in the enclosure, chased around. So it's really nice to be able to show this to the children and to give them inspiration on what they can do at home with their guinea pigs or hamsters or dogs or whatever they would have. In the daily work, it's a lot easier for us to do daily checks. We actually see the guinea pigs throughout the entire day, and they show a lot more of varied behavior now that they're not scared of us anymore. It's basically stress-free to weigh them. It's easy to feel if they're pregnant, trim the nails, and treat them if they're sick. And I have two videos to show this. The first is nail trimming, and the second is a guinea pig who had an eye injury that required care 3 times a day with some lotion in the eye. And the video here is actually taken on day 5, so this is 15 times within 5 days that it had the eye lotion. Yeah, so that's basically it. If you were inspired by this, you might want to know what you need to get started. So we had a backup group of guinea pigs that we were using traditionally in the education while we were training the other guinea pigs. And then we made this box. There's some measurements here. And then we, of course, had some lettuce, some patients, and some guinea pigs. Yeah, so first the guinea pigs needed to get to know the box. I would just place the box inside the enclosure and provide some lettuce. And after they went calm, it was easy for me to be more present, sit by the enclosure, and then provide more lettuce throughout a few minutes, and then remove the box once we were done. And then after that, they would be entering the box, and we would be able to turn them using the lettuce in our hands as a sign until they learned it, and then we could sort of remove the luring and start the reinforcement. So then we were closing the box, and this would be several times while the guinea pig would sit and eat the lettuce. And it's of course important that the guinea pig is aware that the box is actually closed, so that it's not a surprise for it. Yeah, and then after that, when it was calm, after some sessions, we would lift it and pet it in the box. And while the petting part wasn't really an issue for the guinea pigs, the lifting the hammock was sort of more tricky. I think it's because they sort of lose the visual option for a few seconds. So we spent a lot of time on just lifting a little bit, one side of the hammock and then another side and then a bit more. And then After a while, it was possible to remove them to our lab, and then they would just sit there, and this part was pretty easy, and if they stopped eating at any point, we would stop and return them to the enclosure and try again, and if there was no luck, we would wait till a bit later and then try again, and they would most likely be more happy to enter the box after a little break. And then we actually had to learn them to go back into the enclosure, because they would just spend more time in the box, and the educators of course needs to move on with the education, and if we don't remove the box, they tend to sit and eat the fabric. So we are just clapping a few times on the sawdust, and then they come out and they get a treat for that. And then it's basically just to repeat. The hierarchy makes sure that only one stays in the box, and then the other guinea pigs, as you saw in the video before, is getting a treat for staying out of the box. And then once the dominant guinea pig is in a box, then we could take the next one. The male is also trained. We have like 5 enclosures here in Copenhagen Zoo, and there's one male, and then he's shuffling around the different enclosures, and so he's trained, but he's not participating in the education. It seems like he doesn't really like to be petted, so yeah. We also use bearded dragons in education, and here we also changed our handling methods, going from just grabbing and holding and petting, and then to training them to participate voluntarily. The bearded dragons are used for the class about senses and signals, and how animals use their sense of sight, so the kids can see that, and they can also see how the bearded dragons have these spiked scales and use them as a mimicry to survive. Also, we have other classes where sometimes we talk about the animal caretakers' jobs, and here we sometimes show the bearded dragon training to talk about welfare and how to use animals in education settings. So the bearded dragons didn't really like to sit in a box, so we took a piece of cork and screwed on a colored plate, and then we have a training belt with some insects, peaches and peppers, and so on. Of course, the better the dragons get, the less sugary and fatty treats they should have. You will see a video in a short while where we first show you how the bearded dragons used to react after being handled the old method, where we would just grab them, place them in a box, take them up and sort of pet them and give them around from hand to hand, and then place the dragons back in the box and then back in the enclosure. And you can see the dragon being put back in the enclosure, and how it's, to me it looks really stressed out, and it's almost trying to bite as it's put back. And then the clip goes into how we handle them nowadays. And on the video you will see adults, but normally it would be kids, like you saw with the guinea pig sitting on the floor, and the dragon acts the same way. And also you see a box in the corner of the video, and that's because we are, with this little ladder there is, trying to get them to like the box again. So we also train them to go up and down in the box, and they will get a nice experience with the box comparing to what they used to. So here you go, there's the video. Lukker lige, for der er en mere derinde. Og det er primært ham der, vi har trænet med. Der er ligesom en, der kommer før den anden hver gang. Og hvis nu I var 28 børn, der skulle lære om skæggegamen brugte synet, så ser I nu, at skæggegamen bruger synet. Så er det altså lidt spændende, om man kan blive op igen. Om der er hul igennem, ja. Og det er faktisk hul igennem. Ja. Og jeg lige snakker om vi kunne prøve at bruge de der mikroorm eller madikker, fordi så har man jo ligesom lidt flere godheder, før at den er makset ud. Også for vi vil jo heller ikke ud i en fejlernæring. Det var faktisk det. Venligst ikke klap. Ja, tak. You know. We have a few other projects that improved welfare in the section. We used to handle the mice by just grabbing them in the tail and lift them onto a hand, and then we saw some guidelines from 3 R's, and after that, of course, we use mouse tubes. There's a video on that. And then also we gave the tortoises an option to choose whether they wanted to interact with the children or not. So if they want to, they simply just slide down and say hi to the kids and get some treats. And if not, then they stay home. So there's a few videos on that now. We still have some animals like the snakes, skinks and geckos where we sort of get them used to handling step by step. So we just increase the handling when they seem calm, and we sort of really try and read them to make sure that they're calm when we touch them and handle them and so on. And then while we are training new individuals, we of course communicate with the staff every day. We also have some signs that we use to make sure that the right animals are used. Like you see on the left photo, every animal has a chip, and every chip goes with these 3 cards. So green is first time to be handled one day, and yellow is the second time, or if it's like a long session of handling, then you have 2 cards. And then when you have the red card, then the animal shouldn't be handled more that day. And these cards are placed outside the enclosure. So on the left side there's a used today holder, and on the right side there is this animal was used today holder. And also if we have an animal that needs a day off, then we just place the cards in the not or was used today holder, and then the animal is off. I do that when they are shedding, and also if I fed the snakes, they get a few days off afterwards, so nobody is handling them at that point. Then on the third picture you see a box with some like, what do you call it, a substrate in the bottom, and a little thing to hide under, and the animals knows that this type of box means that now you are going to go to work with the kids. So this is sort of a signal for them to know that this is what's going to go on. And on the right side you see an empty box, so the snakes know that if you're placed in a box that's empty, then it's feeding time. So this is our way of trying to communicate to the different animals that we still haven't figured out how to sort of train, like I just showed you with the bearded dragons and the guinea pigs. Yes, well, I hope this was useful, inspiring, whatever for you guys, and I'm always happy if you have questions, comments, or better ideas. Please contact me. My name is Sigyn, and I'm an animal caretaker here in Copenhagen Zoo in the education section, and there's my email here, sor@zoo.dk. So yeah, thank you for the time, and also the guinea pigs would like to say hi. Thank you, bye.